Guys, what's going on? In today's brief video, I want to take a moment and discuss testosterone production and THC or weed consumption. Now, this is a topic that's very important to me as a person who used to be addicted to marijuana. I suffered actually from low testosterone levels, and I have some blood work here that I'm going to show you guys. And the low testosterone was believed to play a role in the development of osteoporosis and osteopenia within my bones, which is low bone density. So, this topic really hits home for me, and it's something that I want to make sure we cover in detail in today's video. If you're new to the channel, my name's Dr. Frank. I'm the founder of Addiction Mindset Recovery Coaching Programs, which are dedicated to helping people quit nicotine, THC, energy drinks, and adult media content. If you need help with that stuff, be sure to subscribe to the channel and check out the pinned comment at the end of the video. Let's jump right into it. Why is testosterone important? Testosterone is the hormone that's not only important for bone development and bone growth, but it's also the hormone that gives us our drive. It gives us our motivation, our determination. Arguably, testosterone is one of those hormones that made humans take over and remain at the top of the food chain. Testosterone also plays a huge role in building muscle, preventing depression and preventing anxiety. And this applies to both men and women. Testosterone is in energy levels, hugely dependent upon testosterone levels. Now, as I said, I had low testosterone. This lab work is back from 2017. At this point, I had quit smoking weed, and this was maybe a few months or a year or so after I had quit because I had a lot of health problems. So they did a bunch of blood work. And one of the things that was run was testosterone levels. And you can see there, my free testosterone was at a 24.6 PG per ml. It should have been between 46 and 224. Now, my total testosterone was also low. I just couldn't find or locate that sheet of blood work from back then. All right, we know that testosterone is important. We know that it was an issue for me, but was it caused by cannabis consumption? Now, I could get into the medical literature and the studies and bore you guys to death talking about it. At the end of the day, right now, there is no conclusive evidence as to whether or not testosterone is decreased by weed or increased by weed consumption. Does it matter if you're a chronic user or a short-term user? The evidence is very mixed, and you can find arguments on both sides of the aisle. But I want to make the argument for you guys why I think my chronic consumption of cannabis led to or played a role in decreased testosterone production. And remember, I was also addicted to nicotine, THC, energy drinks, and adult media content. So there was a lot going on, but I want to explain all this, okay? What things, and in order to do that, we got to start here. What things do we know for a fact play a role in testosterone production? Thing number one, food, okay? When I was addicted to weed, my nutrition in the beginning was good, and then it eventually turned terrible. I mean, I would eat fast food, I would eat processed food, I would eat junk food. I was eating a ton of processed carbohydrates. When I smoked weed, I craved pizza, I craved carbs, I craved chips, all of that junk, okay? So when I was addicted to weed, it was very hard for me to maintain good nutrition. And this does not apply to everyone at all, okay? This was my case specifically. So because of weed addiction, it played a huge role in my crappy eating. That could have decreased my testosterone. Another big thing, alcohol. When I was smoking weed, I was hanging out with different crowds of people and we were drinking more. I never particularly had a problem with alcohol, but I was definitely consuming more alcohol when I would smoke weed because I loved getting cross-faded, right? Drinking alcohol and then coming home and smoking weed immediately following. And there is proof that alcohol consumption, even moderately, has decreased testosterone levels in men by up to 6.8%, which is pretty significant when you approach your 30s and your 40s. So there's that. Sleep. Decreased sleep has been shown to negatively impact testosterone production. Let me paint this picture for you. When I would smoke weed, sometimes I would stay up all night long, just getting lost on YouTube, getting lost on social media, getting lost in a Netflix video, and not getting proper sleep. And then when I would sleep, which is also negatively impacted by alcohol, by the way, my sleep eventually, as I got deeper into my weed addiction, got really, really bad. Like, really bad. So I wasn't sleeping good at all. And I was stuck working a job that I had to wake up at 3 a.m. for each day. So I was staying up some nights until like 11 o'clock and then waking up at like 3:30 in the morning. So my sleep was a mess. And we know this about cannabis. We know that it negatively impacts REM sleep. Now, how relevant is that to sleep and testosterone production? I don't have the answer, but I can tell you my sleep got significantly better after I had quit. Decreased sex drive leads to lowered testosterone levels. Lower testosterone levels can result in decreased sex drive. When I smoked weed, I really had no interest in sex, and I'm going to talk about adult media content in a minute. In the beginning, it was cool to get high and have sex, but as time went on, when I was in meaningful relationships, I had completely lost interest in it. All I wanted to do was get high, and after I would get high, I would literally become too lazy to have intercourse. I'd fall asleep, I'd watch a movie, I'd, want to rather go do this instead of actually having intercourse. It wasn't a good thing. So my sex drive was significantly decreased because of the habits that I developed through weed smoking, which can result in lowered testosterone levels. Now, I do want to say something on a side note about adult media content. I think it's safe to say that chronic adult media content viewing can lead to lower testosterone, even though in the short term it might boost testosterone levels. But when you're doing that day in and day out, usually what happens is you develop an addiction to porn. That addiction then leads to increased anxiety, increased depression, feelings of guilt, feelings of shame. And we know that stress is one of the biggest factors when it comes down to decreased testosterone production. When our stress levels are increased, we increase cortisol, or on the flip side, chronic stress can lead to us completely crashing our cortisol levels. And when that happens, our testosterone production can plummet. And I think stress is probably one of the biggest factors involved. Now, not only would I smoke weed and then watch adult media content, which I had all those negative emotions associated with, but the consequences of weed addiction, how it negatively impacted my finances, how it negatively impacted my relationships, how it was negatively impacting my health, the stress of that, the consequences of addiction, combined with the stress of nicotine addiction and adult media content addiction and energy drink addiction, that stress, I think, played a major role in damaging my testosterone levels. Now, as I said, when I was smoking weed, I wasn't eating healthy, and it's no shocker that I also wasn't exercising healthily. And I want to explain this. When I first started smoking, my exercise was okay. Then I came to this point where I was excessively exercising. I mean, I was waking up some mornings at 2:30 to work out before I went to go work a 14-hour day and exercising very intensely. And this excessive exercise was putting a lot of wear and tear on my body that my body wasn't primed to handle. Imagine a guy with low testosterone, addicted to all those things, trying to work out every day at 2:30 in the morning and then go work a 14-hour shift. My body wasn't a machine. It was a sewer system at that point. And it's safe to say that that played a negative impact in my testosterone production. Now, on the flip side, towards the end of my weed smoking journey, I became too sick to work out because of CHS and body pain and myalgia and all that. So I wasn't exercising at all. And we know that lack of exercise or excessive exercise can both damage testosterone production. Now, I think excessive exercise in the presence of cannabis use, especially if there's other unhealthy lifestyle factors, is a very easy way to burn your body out. Now, there's a lot of athletes out there who use cannabis for recovery and for athletic performance, and all the more power to them. My lifestyle with cannabis addiction did not fit the lifestyle that many of those athletes are living. And the last thing that we know, which this one's kind of oddly tied into this, that leads to decreased testosterone levels are BPA products found in plastics. This has been proven time and time again. And listen, here's where I'm going with this. When I would smoke cannabis, I would crave like Diet Pop. Diet Pepsi Max was my go-to. Which also has all the artificial stuff, and God knows that probably decreases testosterone too. But I was eating a lot of plastic, or my food was constantly coming from like a plastic wrapped source. And I was obsessed with water bottles. Like I would buy all my water in plastic water bottles, which I didn't discontinue until recently, many of which times would sit in my car in the direct sunlight, just seeping all the BPAs into the water. So what am I saying? I drank out of more plastics when I was smoking weed because I would always want like that Gatorade or that Powerade or that Arnold Palmer or that Lipton iced tea in a plastic bottle. I don't know how much that played a role. It might be a stretch, but it's a reality. Now I drink mostly and eat mostly out of glass for the most part. Obviously, it's not perfect, and I'm not like a health nut, so whatever. I've made, since I've quit, many corrections. I quit smoking weed. I started to get better sleep. Because I quit smoking weed, I started to consume less alcohol. Because I quit smoking weed, I started to watch less porn. Because I quit smoking weed, right, my finances started to look a lot better. So my financial stress became less of a burden. Once my financial stress was less of a burden, it allowed me to start dating again because now I had a little bit of money to do that. So then eventually I started to develop better relationships. Do you guys see how this goes? So by quitting smoking weed, I don't know that it had a direct impact on my testosterone, but it indirectly impacted many aspects of my life that definitely can impact testosterone levels. And that's why quitting has been such an amazing thing for me. Now, I don't have my most recent blood work with me. I should have pulled it up before I made this. I'll post a photo of it or something in our community section on the channel. My testosterone levels have increased quite a bit. They're still not 100%. And the osteoporosis is now classified as osteopenia. So even that's improved since changing around my lifestyle. Now, down the line, I probably am a candidate for testosterone replacement therapy because of the damage that I've done, but I want to give it a few more years of working harder on my own, changing my diet, changing my exercise, focusing on sleep, focusing on stress management before I investigate getting into medical TRT. I hope this video helps you guys out, and I hope it makes you think about your relationship with weed and the possible impact it might be having on your testosterone levels. If you enjoyed the content, be sure to subscribe. If you need help quitting, check out the pinned comment, or just follow me right into the next video where I talk more about my relationship with cannabis.